Welcome to the Audio Video Conference Advantage. Let's take a look inside, shall we? Inside this account, I have three sample rooms set up I'm going to show you. So depending on your account type, that will determine how many rooms you can actually create. And to add an additional room, you would click here. And we're going to do that in just a moment because I want to show you something. But let's take a look. You'll see the titles of your rooms here. And if you click on these, they'll give you some information. We'll do that in just a moment. Each time you create a room, it will give you a unique identifying number. And you share this link with people to log in. When you create your room, you decide if you want to create it as public, like I've done with this one. If you do, then there is no password required to a public room. And you simply give the link to people. For example, if I right-click on this link and I copy it, let me go to another browser. I'm going to go to Firefox, and I'm going to paste the link in here. And you'll see that it says, well, it gives you the name of the room, and it only requires your name to log in. There is no password required here. Okay, so let me go back to the account again. And if you look over on the far right, I'm just dealing with the first room. If you look over here, you're going to see status. And each of these rooms have the same status. Now, what does that mean? Well, when I shared this link just now, you can see that there was a login option. If you want to lock this room, click here. And if you lock the room, that means people will not be able to log in until you unlock the room. Let me show you. I'll paste this link again. It says the webinar room is currently locked for one of two reasons. One, there is no webinar scheduled for this time, or two, the webinar has started and the room owner doesn't allow people to log in after the webinar begins. So you can actually lock a room and then unlock it when you want and then lock it again. All right, let me go back here. And let me go back to the account settings again. Okay. And over here in the Actions tab, you can edit the room and you can delete the room. Now let's take a look at the private with registration. Okay. So private with registration, if I right-click on this link, I'm going to copy the link address. And I'm going to go to another browser window, back to Firefox. I'm going to paste this and go. And you're going to see it says welcome to, and it gives the name of the webinar. And it says the room owner requires you to register for this event. So this is the registration page. They will enter their email, they will enter their name, and they will create a password. And they will confirm the password, and then they will register. And then once they do that, they will receive an email about the webinar event. And over here, this becomes the login. So it's the same page, and they click on the login. And when they do, they will enter the email address that they registered with plus the password that they created. They do not enter their name because the system records their name through the sign-up process. And then it just pulls their name into the webinar when they log in. Okay, let me go back here. Let me close this. Let me come back to the account section. And so over here, PIP Academy Training. If I click on the title, now it's going to give you all the information. I've hidden the room owner ID because it's an email address, and you'll see the room link is there. Gives you the description, but down here is where you will see it will give you the name of the people who register, and it will give you their email address, which I've hidden here as well. And so each time someone registers, the information will be listed here. Over here, you can send email to all the people who have registered. So you may want to remind them about an event. And you may want to follow up after the event. So this will allow you to do that inside of here. Now let's go back to my rooms again. Let's create a new room because I want to show you the difference. So if I click on Add Room, it's going to ask you for a title. I'm just going to give this a title. I'm going to call it Test Webinar. Okay, that's all. And a description. Welcome to the Test Webinar Room. Simple. Now here is where you set the room type. So you see it's by default it's public. You click the drop-down menu, now it's going to give you private or private with registration. We already looked at private with registration, so this time we're going to choose private. If you do that, now it's going to ask you for a password. Okay, so if it asks you for a password, you give it a password, test123, and then create the room. Once you create the room, now it's going to list that room here at the top. It's going to let you know it's a private. It's going to give you the password. So in order for people to join you in the webinar room, you have to let me right click, copy the link address. You have to give them this address. Now let's go back to Firefox, enter that, paste and go. Now it asks for their name and it asks for the room password. So they cannot get in without the room password. So you simply have to give everyone who's attending your webinar, you have to give them the password. It's that simple. Okay, below here on this same page, there is another video that will show you the inside of the webinar room and the features of that one. So go ahead and watch that one.